we are live again. Let me see if I'm live here. Yeah. No mic glitches. Okay. Okay, everything seems fine. Now we can focus on our next task, which is yeah, okay. Everything looks good. Okay. So now what we are going to do is simply we are going to build a survey form. So we already learned about forms and how they work. Now we also built a hotel feedback form, and now we are going to build a survey form. So now let's start building it. Now build a survey form, build an app that is functionally similar to this example project. Try not to copy the example, okay, of course. Fill the user stories below and get all tests to pass and complete the lab. You should have a page H1. So we are just going to follow the instructions, and whatever extra instructions or whatever extra content we have to fill in, we have to fill in by ourselves. So we have to get some get creative there, but we don't have to do all the stuffs here. So we are just going to follow the structure here. So first of all, it says that you should have a page title in H1 element with an ID of the title. So what we are going to do is simply we are going to go here and we are going to open an H1 tag here. We opened it. Now what we are going to do is we are going to you should have a page title H1 element ID. So it has ID of title. Inside H1 it doesn't we don't have anything, so we are just going to copy the survey form. So copy, paste survey form. Now you should have a short description in a paragraph element with an ID of description. Okay, so I think paragraph element will come after this, so I'm just gonna do this. So here it says it has ID of description, and inside our paragraph we will have some explanation, sort of explanation. So we're going to do this is our survey page and we are going to build it as better as possible. Okay, so this is our paragraph. After the paragraph it says you should have a form element with an ID of survey form. So now we are going to open a form here. Form ID is equals to this survey form. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, survey form. Now we have ID inside. Now I'm just going to close it here with form. Now we have a form. Inside our form it says required input field, enter your name, that has an ID, name type, and blah blah blah. So I'm just gonna go with you should have a input field. So I'm gonna input. This is a input tag. Inside the input tag we will have an ID, so okay, so type, let's say uh, let's say input type text, and inside input type text we have the ID. We are going to give it a ID text. Similarly, we have to add name and type. Type we have text, ID we have text, and now we have to add name text. So we have the name text, we have the ID text, and we have the type text. So all the fields are now text. Inside the form element you should have a required input field to enter your name, email, and that has an ID of email. So inside the form element you should have a required input. So we have form element, inside we have the input, and inside the input we have the ID text and everything set to text. Okay, inside the form element you should have a required input field to enter your email. Okay, so ID of email, that has an ID of email. So I'm just going to copy this, copy, I'm just going to paste here, and I'm going to just email, and it has an ID of email as well. So we have input email, type email, and name. We don't have name in this. I'm just going to remove this. Okay, inside the field element you should have a required input. Okay, so we have these two. Now if your entered email has not also we should, inside the formula you should have a required input field to enter your required input field. Enter your name. Okay, so this is also required. So this is now required. Okay, so now here I think legend, let's add a legend here, and another legend. Inside our legend we are gonna write name. Okay, but it doesn't say anything like that, so I'm just going to, for now and I'm just going to leave it like this, but later on I will come back to this. But after this it says required input type email, ID email. Input type, we have email. To enter number, ID and number. Okay, if you have enter an email and that is not formatted correctly, you should see HTML validation error. Okay, so if I type like this, enter, yes, it is showing that. So inside the form element you should have input field, enter a number that has of ID number. So we are going to have another input field, so I'm just going to copy this, paste this, okay. So here it says inside our form element you should have an input field, enter a number that has ID of number. Okay. So here it is just number and ID is also number. Okay, so now we have a number. The number input should not accept non-number either by preventing you from typing them or by showing an HTML5 validation error depending on your browser. I guess if I do something else, if I do enter, I think it's, if you enter number outside the range of the number input min max attributes, you've seen validation error. So we have the min attribute set to something like 10 maybe, and max attribute set to like 100. So now if we go here and write like 1000 and press enter, let's make greater and equal to 10. Okay, so let's go for 1000. Okay, nice. So it is basically doing that. For the name, email, number input fields, you should have the corresponding label element form describe the purpose of the following IDs. So now we have to label all these. So for now I'm going to use, I was using legend, so now I have to use label, LABEL. Label, label this. I'm going to label this name, like name, this. Now I'm just going to copy this. This label also has an ID, so I'm just gonna, after this I'm just gonna use this. Not name, I'm just gonna use what? I'm gonna just gonna use email, and after an email I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to use this. Number. Okay. So we have the name, email and number label for the corresponding fields now. Now what we have to do is simply add the labels here. So ID. So now we have to add ID here. So ID equals Here name label is for the ID, copy, paste here. Same, I'm just gonna follow with all the labels here. So first here we will have this ID, the second label we have this ID, copy, paste. Okay, now the third will have the ID, I'm just gonna copy this, paste this. Okay, so everything looks good. So we have now added all the IDs here. For the name, email and number fields, you should have a placeholder text that gives a description or instruction for each field for name, email and number. So now here we have a placeholder. So I'm just gonna, this is the name. Okay. Placeholder. Let's try Harsh. Okay. Not placeholder, placeholder Harsh. यहाँ पे we are just gonna use eg Harsh. I'm just gonna copy this. For this input here, what I'm gonna use is email. So I'm just gonna use Harsh @gmail.com, and for number here I'm just gonna use another placeholder, and that is 21. Everything looks good. If I do this, it will just do it. Okay, everything looks good. Now for the name and thumbnail fields, blah blah blah. I can't use, let's play some music here. I let's play some music. NCS Funk. All these are NCS Funks. Let's play this. Hello, 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 hello. Am I clear here? Everything looks good. Let's go. Okay. Now we have music also. Okay. Okay. So now from now on, what we are gonna do is, uh, okay. So we have added the name, email, and number input fields. You should have a placeholder. We already added that gives a description. Okay. Inside the form element, you should have a select drop down element with an ID of drop. Okay. So we should have here select. Okay. And ID will be drop down. Drop down. Select ID equals to drop down. Select closed. Everything looks good. We have a select element and a drop down element as the ID of this. It's drop down, yeah, it just doesn't have anything. Inside the form element, you can select options from a group of at least 2 radio buttons that are grouped using name attribute. Inside the form element, you can select an option from a group of at least 2 radio buttons. Okay, so here I'm just gonna leave that. Now we have to do 2 radio buttons, so I'm gonna add a button. Now let's add that. Okay, so we'll have to give 2 options here. So should I have the option? Let's go first option 1 and option 2. I'm just gonna copy this. Two. So if you open the drop down, we have 2. Okay, let's do it once more. So this is 3. Okay, let's do it once more. We have 4 options now. Okay, we have 4 options. Now it says followed you can select an option from a group of at least 2 radio buttons, okay, that are grouped using the name attribute. Okay, so this button has the name attribute equals to btn, and this type will be radio. Okay, now okay, close the button. Now I have a button, but also we have gonna copy it, and I'm just gonna paste it here again. Now we have two buttons here. Okay. Now these buttons both have the same name. The type is a radio. Inside the button, let's see what can I type. Let's see if I do like something like 1, what happens? This button will contain 1 actually. Okay. Inside it says that inside the function you should have a select drop down element, ID drop down. Inside the form element you can select an option from a group of at least 2 radio buttons that are grouped using the name attribute. We have grouped using the name attribute. Both has the same name. Okay. So do I have to use input here is the question. Maybe I have to. Well, I'm just going to copy this. Copy. Let's paste it here. Let's check if it works. If I do like something like this, I remove this. I use type radio. Okay, now it works. So now it will have it will not have any ID, but it will have the name like BTN, and this is not required. Okay. So now what we can do is I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm just gonna replace with this. Now we have 2 with the same name, so I can use either this or this. Okay. Inside you can select 2 options, at least 2 radio buttons. Inside the form element you can select several fields from a series of checkboxes, each of which must have a value attribute. Okay, so let's try this. Copy this. I'm gonna just use a checkbox here. Yeah, we have a checkbox. So inside the form element you can select several fields from a series of checkboxes. Each must have a value attribute. I'm just gonna. Do I have to label these also? Copy this. I'm gonna paste it once again and once again. So we have 3 checkboxes there. Here I can checkbox. Okay, choose. So it says that inside the form element you can select several fields from a series of checkboxes, each which must have value attribute. Inside the form element you should have a text area for additional comments. Okay, so I'm just gonna add here a label and an input field. So I'm just gonna copy this, paste it here. Inside the label field I'm just gonna add a text area. So text area, we have a text area. Additional comments. So now okay. Okay, so it says that ID. So placeholder is 21. No, this type is basically a text. Type is actually text here. Placeholder is not 21, and ID, I mean max, this doesn't work here. I'm just gonna, so does min width work here? Let's see. Let's go with width. Width 100, and let's go with height 100. Does this do anything with the, no, nothing. Instead inside the you can select from several such attribute. Okay, you have the value attribute. Okay, now it said inside the form element you should have a text area for additional comments. Type comments here. Okay, I'm just gonna use, okay, so I have to use this one, I guess. Okay, everything looks good. Type comments here. Now how to make this bigger? The height width doesn't max height. Okay, so maybe this doesn't work. So now what we can do is, so everything else is working. Inside our form element you should have a button with ID of submit and submit all inputs. So now we add a input, like I'm just going to copy this input. Type is actually a button. Input, this is actually not input, so this is actually a button. Type is actually submit, so submit, and you should have a button with ID. Now we have to ID, so of the submit, so this is actually ID of submit. Okay, now we add submit here. Okay, everything submits here. Okay, well, let's run the test. Okay, so you should have a form element with ID of survey form. So the form element should have an ID. So form, missing a double quote here and not here. Okay, let's run now. You should have input element with an ID of name. Name. Your name should be required. Hashtag name should be required input, and it is actually a required input. Okay, so let's run this test again. Okay, your email should require input. Requires input. So do I have to use a required here also? maybe I have to, so it is also required. Okay, now let's test again. Everything looks good. All your radio buttons should have a value attribute and value and value. All your radio buttons should have a value attribute. Radio button should have a value attribute. Let's go with value attribute. This is the value. I'm gonna copy this, paste this. Just gonna 3. All your documents should have a value attribute and value. You should have at least one text area. Oh, so this actually should be text area. Yeah, so this is actually a text area, and ID is number, element that is a descendant of survey form. Okay, let's go with this. I guess maybe we can also go with this. We have a text area and everything looks good now, so it should pass now. And you should have an input button, you should have input or button ID of submit. We have submit here. Button type submit. Okay, we have this. So we have to close text area, I guess. Now this should work. Yeah, now they should work. Okay, everything is good. Completed one out of certification projects. Okay, if I just cut this and see what we have done now. Here we actually first we made the header h1. Inside the header we added a type ID, and we added a name also. Then after header we added this paragraph here. Okay, let's go here. So after this we added a paragraph here. After paragraph we added a form. So now here, from here form starts. So inside the form we added a label for name, and after name we added an input field that will contain that will actually take texts, and this field and the email field are both required fields, so we can't just submit without filling these two fields. Now inside the actually name here we actually had a placeholder. So example hers, this is a placeholder of that. Inside the email field we also have a placeholder here. Now we have placeholder for both of these. Now what we have done is okay. Now after that we added another label for the number, and we added number, so we can choose form. So we should not name it number, we should not name it like age. This is better. Now after age, we should have done something like we should have added a label here for a drop down here. So you can add a label here, I guess. Let's go for income. So after income, we can add like, now we can use here slash, sorry, ampersand. Where is ampersand? LT. If we use it like this, oh, so we don't have to use it like, okay. Here, can we use it like this? No, we can't. So ampersand GT, yeah, it works. So greater than like this, like 1 lakh, yeah, and it goes, let's go for LT here. Less than 1 lakh, then we have from 1 lakh to 2 lakh, yeah. Then we have 2 lakh to 3 lakh. Then we have n% greater than 3 lakh. Okay, everything looks good. Greater than 3 lakh, less than 1 lakh. Yeah, good. Now for this, we can also add another label here. So I'm going to copy this, and after this select, I'm going to add a label here. I'm going to add for married, and I'm going to add okay, so here I'm going to add another one. So I'm just going to enter a paste. I'm going to just add here yes, and after this I'm going to just paste it another one, and here I'm going to do it no. So are you married? Yes, okay, or no? Now here you can choose from here. What can I do here? Actually, there's a radio button. After the radio button, what I'm going to do is check boxes, है ना? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another label, and inside this label I'm just going to add let's see, not income. I guess I can write something else maybe. Let's go for something like assets. So I'm gonna add here assets, and I'm gonna add one more. For this, I'm just gonna add gold. G is capitalized. So we have gold option here. I'm just going to copy this. We have silver option here. And we have maybe bronze. Maybe not bronze, maybe let's go for land. Land is asset, gold is asset. Let's go for crypto. Yeah, no, should we go for crypto? Maybe not. Let's go for something else. Like, what could be another asset? Business can be asset. No. Stocks maybe. Investments. Let's go. Not investment. Let's go for. Yeah, I think that's good. Very good. We don't have to. Yeah. So now this is over. Text area. Yeah, that's it, I think. Okay. Now let's. That's another test. You can also download it. Maybe we should download it. It's not. Okay, maybe let's go to next channel. Now we hop onto the working with tables lecture. Now after working with tables, we have 2 workshops here, and after this workshops and lab, now we have a working with HTML tools. Then we have HTML review here. Inside this review, then we hop onto CSS. Let's see how much we can do in one day. So I'm just gonna hop onto the lectures now. What are HTML tables used for, and what should they be used for? Let me look at for a second. Okay, just gonna start here.
What are HTML tables used for, and what should they not be used for? HTML tables aren't used as much these days as they used to be, but as a front-end developer, you should still be familiar with them. Tables are one of the earliest ways devs had for displaying data in a browser, way back in the 1990s. Here's a table from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And here's the code used to create this table. As you can see, there's a main table element with an ID set to quickfacts. Inside it, the table has a table head element,thead, table body element, tbody, and a table foot element, tfoot. The table head, body, and foot elements can each contain some number of table rows, tr, and each table row can contain a table header, th, which labels the data in that row. It can also contain some number of individual data cells called table data, TD. Now that's a lot of HTML elements, but don't be intimidated. These follow a simple hierarchy. Here's the simplest table we can create that includes all these elements. As you can see, the data itself is always within a tr, and within that tr element is a th element with a header, and a td element with data. Some websites will choose to use divs to build their own tables instead of using the more appropriate table element. Here's a table from Kaggle.com made entirely out of divs without the table element. While it is possible to display tabular data using generic div elements, it's still better to use the table element instead. Many years ago, developers might have used a table to position non-data elements on a web page. This was never considered a best practice, but you may encounter some code bases where tables are still used like this. Nowadays, developers use CSS Flexbox and Grid to lay out their designs. Free Code Camp will cover these tools in depth later. For now, just use HTML tables for their original intended purpose, displaying tabular data.
What are HTML tables used for, and what should they not be used for? I didn't understand a thing of this.
They
My
used to
mind was
be,
blank.
but as a front-end developer, you should still be familiar with them. Tables are one of the earliest
I
ways
know this
devs had
stuff.
for displaying data in a browser, way back in the 1990s. Here's a table from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And here's the code used to create this table. As you can see, there's a main table element with an ID set to QuickFacts.
Yes.
Inside it, the table has a table head element, T-head, table body element, T-body, and a table foot element, T-foot. The table head, body, and foot elements can each contain some number of table rows, TR, and each table row can contain a table header, TH, which labels the data in that row. It can also contain some number of individual data cells called table data, TD. Now that's a lot of HTML elements, but don't be intimidated. These follow a simple hierarchy. Here's the simplest table we can create that includes all these elements. As you can see, the data itself is always within a TR, and within that TR element is a TH element with a header, and a TD element with data. Some websites will choose to use divs to build their own tables instead of using the more appropriate table element. Here's a table from Kaggle.com made entirely out of divs without the table element. While it is possible to display tabular data using generic div elements, it's still better to use the table element instead. Many years ago, developers might have used a table to position non-data elements on a web page. This was never considered a best practice, but you may encounter some code bases where tables are still used like this. Nowadays, developers use CSS Flexbox and Grid to lay out their designs.
Yes.
Free Code Camp will cover these tools in depth later. For now, just use HTML tables for their original intended purpose, displaying tabular data.
Okay. So HTML table, which element is contained within a table row element? Table row के अंदर क्या होता है? तो अगर हम देखेंगे T head and T footer है ना, so we have within a TR, so in a TR we have TD and TH again, yeah. And which of the following are the main sections of the HTML table? Main sections: table, div, span, header section, no. T head, T body. Okay. What is the main recommended use of HTML table today? Displaying tabular data. Check. 100% complete. Now let's go to hop onto the tables. It should be easy. Let's do it faster. Now we have to make this table. Okay. 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 Now here in the workshop, so we have to build. I'm just going to copy this. I'm not going to type that. So I'm going to copy. I'm just going to paste here. So we have the doc.html. After the doc.html, we have the HTML element. So let's go. After HTML, we have lang equals en. So inside of HTML, we are going to have a head. So okay, yeah, it says add head element, so I'm just going to add. Okay, check the code, submit. So it says inside the head, nest a meta. Meta closed. Now we have the title, maybe. Yeah. So we have the title. Okay, inside the title, we're gonna add calculus. Calculus final exams table. So calculus final exams table. We have the title. After you complete the head, you can add your body element. Add the body. In previous lectures, you have learned how to work with tables elements. Okay. Inside your body element, nest a table here. We have to nest a table here. So okay. Ruthless table. Okay. Now we have table. It was so fucking easy. Now it says that add a caption. You can add a caption to it. So add a caption. So I'm just going to copy this. Copy. I'm going to paste. Copy. This is the caption here. So I'm just going to copy. Okay, let's go. Submit. Let's go. For the first section of the table, you will. Okay, calculus final example. For the first section of the table, you want to group the headers content with the represented. So with the represented column labels, first name, table head. Table head is the group contains the table. Okay, so here after the caption inside a table, we have to add t head. So I'm just going to add this. Copy. So below the caption, add a table element. So I did it. Table head elements contains of. Inside a table head, we have the table row, and inside the table row, we have the th. What does th stand for? Table header. So table header and tr is a table row. So table row, inside table row, we have the table header, and this is table head. Okay, so inside your table head, add a tr. So I'm just going to copy this, and now we have to add the table head. So I'm just going to copy this. It goes here. Copy this. Okay, it goes inside the table head. So here, and lastly the grade goes here. First name, last name. Okay, everything was good. Table head, table head, table head. Confirm. Congratulations. Now let's go. Now you have completed the head section. Add a table body. Table inspector represented. Add a table body to your table. Okay, so I'm just gonna have T body and T body close. So we have T body and T body closed. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead. Now add a student table, okay, and table data element TD. So we have inside the table row we have the table data. So this is to create cells, okay. Inside the table of about TR with the TD. First table, okay. So here we just have to do this. So we have the table head. Now we have to add table. Okay, so we have table row. Copy this, paste this, and inside this we just have to add Davis. Copy Davis, Alex, copy, and 54. Just copy. That is it. Submit. Go to next challenge. As you can see here, this is the table caption. So this is actual table caption. This is the table. First table row has 3 table headers. So there are 3 table headers here. Now after table headers we have the table body here. Inside the table body we have a table row here. Inside the first table row we have 3 table data. Now following the same pattern we have to add more of them. So I'm just gonna copy this and once again copy. Now I just have to do this. So this is just Doe. The second is Samantha. S is capitalized, and 92. Now here Rodriguez. Rodriguez. Now first name is Marcus. So Marcus. Now we have the grade is 88. Samantha Doe, last name is Doe Samantha. So Samantha Doe has the grade 92 and Marcus Rodriguez has the grade 88. Everything looks good. Okay, now following the same pattern as the previous step for the student row table row, use the following data. Okay, what? Oh, so we have to add more of them. Are you kidding me? Okay, I guess. So we have to add the Thompson, Jane, and 77. Thompson, Jane, 77. Now we have another one after this, which will be Williams, Natalie, Natalia, Natalie. Now we have the 83. Okay, Thompson, Jane, William, Natalia, Rodriguez, Marcus, Stowe, Samantha. Everything looks good. Let's go. The last section is to add a table. Where the table footer. Okay, so add a table footer. So we add a t foot. After the foot, inside the t foot, what we have to add? tr and tr. Okay, so we have added a tr inside tr to td. So inside tr we added to td. So I'm just gonna give some space and td here, td here. I'm just gonna copy it, give it a okay. Now the first td should contain the average grade here. So I'm just going to copy this. Here goes the average grade, and the second td will contain this. I'm just going to copy, paste. Let's continue. Everything looks good. Okay, the table is almost complete. The last one thing is to add is, it would be nice if td element used average grade would be span across 2 columns instead of just one. Yes, true. This should do call a span, so one td element. Okay, so it looks like this. So td call span. So average grade, I'm just going to use this call span. Yeah, and okay, so I have to use 2 column spans here. Column span specifies the number of columns cells should be spanned. So now if I look this, yeah, so now everything looks good. We have made it. Now we have to build a book catalog table here, which is gonna be a pain in the ass, but we can do it, I guess. Let's go. Let's try this. Okay, so we are just going to follow the instructions here. This is a lab class. You should create a table element that lists book information. So I have to create a table elements here. So okay, so head closes here, body starts here. So I'm going to start here, table. So your table should have a table head element or row in it. The row, okay. So inside the table we should have a table head, t head. Also I have to close this head. Yes, so table here, table head here. Okay, you should have a table head element with one row in it. So inside the table head we should have a table row, tr and tr. Okay, we should have a one row in it. Now okay, so table head is here. So here it says that the row table head will have 4 headers. Okay, so we have table row. In the table row I have 4 elements, text, order. Okay, so inside the first table row here we have 4 elements. So you can't make table rows here, so I have to add 4 table data here. I'm just gonna add a title, so I'm just gonna copy. I'm just gonna paste here. I'm just gonna maybe let's just copy this, paste it here. Inside this, I'm just gonna copy this, paste it here. I'm just gonna do another one. Sorry, paste here. Oh, sorry, what the fuck is happening? Title, author, and genre. So I'm just gonna copy, paste here. I'm just gonna go with this one also. Copy, paste here. Sorry, paste here. What the hell is this? Copy, paste. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this also. I'm just gonna paste publication year, copy and paste. Okay, so we have the title, author, genre, and publication year. We have all these. Now, your table should have a table body element with at least 5 rows in it. Okay, so now we have a table body. And this will contain 5 rows actually. So 5 rows. So the tr here is going to be 5. So I'm just going to copy, paste. I'm going to paste it like 5 times. So paste, 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 paste. How many we have? This is the header. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. Each row you will, if your table body should have 4 table data. Okay, so from we have table row here and we have 4 table data here. So we have 3 actually already. We have 4 actually. Yeah, we have 4. In our body we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now what we have to do is, your table should have a table body element at least 5 rows in it. The table should have a table body element okay, for each row in your table body should have 4 table data elements. 4 table data elements. We have 4 table data elements. Okay, with 1 row in it and 1 row in it. Table row. What? And now we have to add the author and books names. Okay. Now we have, after the T body, we will have the table footer. T foot, and we close T foot. Inside T foot, it says that inside the table footer have a table element that spans 4 columns with 1 row in it. So we have 1 row. Let's copy this, paste. Inside this row it says element that spans 4 columns and has the text total books. So I'm just gonna remove this all this, and I'm just gonna copy this, copy this. I'm just gonna paste this. Total books, let's say we have 5 maybe. How many books we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. Okay. And it should be spanned, I think. It says it should be span 4 columns. So I'm just gonna call span equals to 4 columns. It is not doing anything. Call span is 4. So do I have to do it like this maybe? No. This? No. Maybe I have to just copy it and paste it here maybe. No, that does not work. I don't know then. What is the... I don't know actually. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is simply, here we have a booking catalog, title, and inside here we have the title, and this is because the T head, and after T body I'm just gonna death note. Death note is one of the books, and it is written by, who is the author of the Death Note? Shinigami? I don't know. Demon maybe? Demon. And genre is maybe basically death. Death. Publication year is 1999. Okay. Similarly, I'm just gonna do something like Big Papa. Big Papa. Author is also Big Papa. I'm just gonna copy this because the author is also Big Papa, and the genre is also Big Papa. I don't know why. And the publication year is like 2006 maybe. Okay. Now we have, now I have select. I don't wanna do anything else here. Just copy this, run the tests. Now here you should have the 4th element within the T head elements row. Wait, what? You should have 4 TH elements. We should have, okay, head row we have 4 TH elements. TH elements. You should have TH, not TD. Oh my god, I am so fucking dumb. Okay, I guess I have to do it like once again. So TH, now we have to make this TH. Now I'm simply gonna do is, I'm just gonna copy, I'm gonna paste 1, 2, 3. We have 4, and now we have just gonna copy. So this is pasty. Now this is pasty. Now this is pasty, tasty. Now this is pasty, copy, paste. Everything looks goody goody, and I don't have no woody. So now what I have to do is I'm just gonna run this again. And it is done. Let's go. Now we have to attend another lecture working with HTML tools. How many lectures are there? Only two. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
What is an HTML validator and how can it help you debug your code? HTML is a very forgiving language. Elements will still render even when you make mistakes, like forgetting to include a closing tag. Let's say you have an H2 element without a closing tag. The H2 without a closing tag will still render fine. This happens because browsers use a parsing algorithm that handles common errors and tries to render HTML as closely as possible to the author's intention. But this could backfire sometimes. Let's add a few paragraphs under the existing heading 2 tags in the code. Here is the result in the browser. Can you see that the paragraph element under the heading 2 without a closing H2 tag renders as heading 2? This is why you need an HTML validator. An HTML validator is a tool that checks the validity of your HTML code against the standard HTML specifications. It helps you identify errors and warnings in your HTML code, ensuring your web pages are correctly structured and compliant with web standards. Using an HTML validator benefits not only you and your future code reviews, but also anybody else going through your code, such as your teammates and open source contributors. There are several HTML validators out there you can use. The most widely accepted one is the w3.org Markup Validation Service. When you visit the site validator.w3.org, you can click on the Validate by Direct Input button and paste in your HTML code. When you click on the check button, then a list of results will display the errors that need to be fixed. Another HTML validator that you can use is jasonformatter.org. You can copy and paste your HTML code inside the first editor, and when you click on the Validate button, it will show you any errors you have in your code.
That was easy. Why does a browser render tags correctly when there is uh, the browser actually uses the parsing algorithm, figure out the errors and tries to render the tags as intended. Okay, did I choose it? Yeah. What is HTML validator? Tool that checks the validity of HTML. Which of these is the example of HTML validator? This is the example of HTML validator. Let's go. Another one.
How do you use the DOM inspector and DevTools to debug and build your projects? When you're building out projects, you will frequently run into issues where your programs are not working as expected. Programmers often refer to these issues as bugs. The process of finding and fixing these bugs is known as debugging. To debug your code, you will need to use some tools provided by your browser. Two important tools to use would be the DOM inspector and developer tools. The DOM inspector allows you to inspect the HTML structure of the page you are on. The DOM stands for Document Object Model. It is a tree-like structure that represents the elements on a page. You will learn more about the DOM in later modules. The developer tools allow you to inspect the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript of the page you're on. Let's take a look at an HTML example that contains a small bug in the anchor element. When you click on the link, it will lead to a 404 page. A 404 page is an error page that appears when a user tries to access a web page that doesn't exist on the server. The intent is for the link to lead to the free CodeCamp curriculum. To see what the issue might be, you can use the developer tools. To open the developer tools in your browser, you can right-click on the page and select Inspect. You can also use Ctrl-Shift-I on your PC keyboard or Command-Option-I on your Mac. Here is an example of opening the developer tools in Google Chrome. The first tab is called the Elements tab. This tab shows you the HTML structure of the page you're on. The second tab is called the Console tab. This tab shows any errors that might be occurring on the page. In this situation, you can check the console to see the error messages for this broken link. There are a lot of messages displaying on the screen, but the common message that continues to display is the 404 error. The 404 error indicates that the page is not found. This lets us know that the issue is with the URL in the anchor element. When you inspect the href value, you will see that there is a typo. Right now, it says /learn, but the correct URL should be /learn. When the link is corrected, then it will work as expected. You will learn more about working with the developer tools throughout the certification, but this is just a short example on how it can help you debug your code.
What is the process of finding and fixing bugs in your code called? Debugging. What is the tree-like structures? DOM. What is the role of elements tabs in the developer tools? It shows you the HTML structure of your page you are on. Let's go. Okay. It happens again. HTML table and form review. Okay, let's start. First we have to learn it. Okay, HTML form elements and attributes. Form element is used to create HTML form for user input. Action attribute is used to specify the URL where the form data should be sent. Method attribute is used to specify the HTTP method to use the sending and the form data. Most common method is get and post. Example, form method, values goes here and action goes here. So this is it. Input element used to create an input field for user input. Type attribute is used to specify the type of input field: text, email, number, radio, checkbox, etc. Okay. Placeholder attribute is used to show a hint to user to show them what to enter in the input field. Okay. Value attribute is used to specify the value of the input. If the input has a button type, the value attribute can be used to set the button text. Okay. Size attribute is used to define the number of characters that should be visible as the user types into the size attribute is used to define the number of characters that should be visible as user types into the input. Okay. Min attribute can be used in input types such as numbers to specify the minimum value allowed as the input, and max attribute can be used to type such a number to specify the maximum value allowed in the input field. Minimum length attribute is used to specify the minimum number of characters required in an input field, and max length attribute is used to specify the maximum number of characters allowed in an input field. Required attribute is used to specify that an input field must be filled out before submitting the form. Displayed attribute. Required attribute is used to specify, okay, I know, max length, min length, okay, min max, okay. Okay, so this is for characters, this is for numbers, okay. min length, max length, and min max. Disable attribute is used to specify the input fields should be disabled. A read only attribute is specified the input field is read only. For example, here input here text, okay. Type placeholder required, okay. And second is type id name, okay. So in this input field we actually can't input anything because it is disabled, and this is required, so we can't just skip this. This is not set to field. Input type button value show alert. Label element used to create a label for an input field. For attribute is used to specify which input field the label is for. Okay. Implicit form association. Input can be associated with labels by wrapping the input field inside a label. Yeah. Form action label and full name and input field. Okay. Explicit form association, input can associate with labels by using for. So this is action, label for email and email address, input type email, ID. So this is for email. Okay, that's really good. Button element is used to create a clickable button. A button can also have a type attribute which is used to control the behavior of the button. Submit reset button. So this button is actually a button which will show the form, and we have to write the JavaScript for it. And this button is for the submit. So this already just submits the form, and this is resets the form. Field set element is used to group the related input together. This is field set, this is related input, this is field set, this is related input. We have legend element to use add a caption to describe the group of inputs. So we have to describe a group of inputs, we can use a legend. The field set and legend are actually works together. So working with HTML table element attribute. Table element. So we have to create a table. So we first have to actually create a table. Inside the table we can add caption. Caption element is used to add a title of the HTML table. Call span attribute is used to specify number of call span. The table cell could span like this. Call span here TD, call span 2. And inside the caption, after the caption, we should have a table head here. In table head, the table row will contain th, which is table header, and inside the body the table row will contain td, which is table data. This is the only difference here. Working with HTML tools. HTML validator, a tool that checks the syntax for HTML code to ensure it's valid. DOM inspector, a tool that allows you to inspect and modify HTML structure of a web page. DevTools is a set of web developer tools built directly into the browser, helps to debug the profile. Okay, I have reviewed it. Okay, let's go. We have reviewed everything. Now we have to submit, and we have to just take the test. Okay, what is this accessibility? Okay, first we have to take this test. Take the test. What is the role of action attribute inside the opening form? It is used to show no, it is used to define no, it is used to specify, it is used to specify the URL where the form should be. Okay, which of the following attribute is used to specify the HTTP method? method used when to sending data. So method is actually used here. Which of the following is a common method used working with forms? Found. Get post, not set, not push. Which of the following is not a valid value for type attribute? Type text, type email, type number, type HTTP is not valid. Which of the following code is correct? Correct way to create a button in form. Form input type button value. Type button value. Button type set get. This is the correct. Which is implicit form association? Which is this is where input can be implicit form association. Implicit. This is where inputs can be associated with labels using action. Not inputs can be associated with labels using action of. I don't know about this. Implicit form association. I have read it, but somehow I'm not getting the point here. Implicit, this is where input can be associated with labels by using required. Inputs can be associated with labels by using required or for attribute on the label element. We can't use required or for element on labels. Okay, this is where input can associated with labels using for attribute on the label element. This is where inputs can be associated with labels by wrapping the input field inside the label. Yeah. This is actually the correct answer. What is the role of field set element? It is used to group. Okay, yeah, this is actually true. It's used to group header content. No, it is into this is used to group related contents. Which of the following is used to create checkbox? Checkbox. Input type checkbox, ID location here. Input type checkbox. No, type check type. This is the correct answer. Which of the following element is used to add title of an HTML table? Title for an HTML table. Title. What is the role of legend element? It is used to add caption to describe the group. It is used to, yeah, this is the correct answer. Which of the following element is used to group the header content in an HTML table? Header content, group the header content in HTML table. T-head is the answer. Which of the following is the correct way to add rows and data cells to a table? Rows. Yeah, this is correct. No, this is not correct. This is actually correct. What is DOM? Inspector, a tool that checks the syntax, a tool that allows to inspect and modify the structure of a web page. A set of tools built directly into the browser that helps to develop. No, this is actually web. This is dev tools. Tool is used to remove all elements. No. And second is the correct. Which of the following is a tool to check the syntax? So HTML validator is the answer. Which of the following is the correct way to specify the number of columns for data cell in the table? Number of columns, TD column 2 average TD. Which is the correct? is actually the correct answer. What is a focused state for an input field? Focused state for an input field. This is the state of an input field where the focus is removed by the user. The state of an input field where when it is selected by a user. Yeah, that is true. It is state of the input field where disabled. It is random read only. No, this is actually correct. It is selected by the user. Which of the following is the correct way to create a radio button? Okay, input ID, radio button, radio. This is the correct answer. Radio. What is the role of for attribute? It is used to specify which input field or label it is for. It is used to specify the value. Yeah. Which of the following attributes is used to define the number of characters should be visible as a user types into the input? What? Used to define the number of characters that should be visible. Number of characters that should be visible as the user types into the input. Size, I guess. Set size. I don't remember this. Which of the following attribute is used to define the number of characters that should be visible as the user? Oh, that should be visible. Type into it. Size, not size. Sizing. Set size. Not set size. Size. I don't know, maybe this is the correct answer. Which of the following attribute is used to show a hint to a user to show them, oh, this is actually placeholder? Finish. Yes, I am finished. You have 18 out of 20 corrected. So let's see what is not correct here. Correct. This is actually not correct. So what is correct here? So size here is correct maybe. And what is not correct? This is incorrect. Which of what is following element is used to add a title to a table? So caption is the correct answer here, not title. I did fucked up. Okay, at least we have done it. Now we can submit the next challenge. Let's go. We have passed. Now we have to do is the lectures, labs and everything, and after this I think we are good to go. So this is actually what we are going to do tomorrow. Today, how many lectures? There are many lectures. Okay, now actually the main thing starts. What is accessibility? What are screen readers and who uses them? Large text and braille keyboard, who uses them? What are alternative pointing devices such as trackballs, joysticks, touchpad used for? What are screen magnifiers used for? What is voice recognition software used for? Okay, everything is actually looks really good. Okay, so for today I think this is good enough. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna